So we were just talking generally, if you had any questions before I started about skin health, anything you want me to focus on a little bit more. And of course, you can always put in your chat box if you have any questions. So it's 12:07. I'm going to start, and just feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. So since you all know me, you know why I love doing this. I find presenting on different topics related to health keeps me, I guess, up to date in my trade. It kind of keeps me aware of what's on the cutting edge. And I'm also a part of the family of practitioners that can offer nutrigenomic testing. So this is a company called Nutrigenomics. We do saliva tests to look at how your genes may influence how you metabolize and retain your nutrition. So it becomes a more personalized approach based on your DNA. So it's quite a fascinating field. And within nutrigenomics, I get a lot of training. A lot of it is backed up by science, lots of studies. So it's really, really fun. And I love sharing this information with all of my community. So the recent one that I had was on skin health. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to do a webinar on this. So your skin is the largest organ in your body. And it really is the reflection of your inner health. So whatever's going on in the inside is then reflected on the outside. And I got two people in the waiting room. Did you want me to admit them, Fondi? Or I don't know why I can't anymore. I can only view them now. Okay, wait, I'm going to admit them. There's FIFA and Evelyn. Yeah, so basically, of course, there's a lot of factors influencing your skin health, but there is a deep connection between gut, brain, and skin. As you'll see as I talk, you're going to notice that there's a lot of common nutrients that is very good for your gut and equally good for your skin, and vice versa, toxic for your gut and very toxic for your skin. Your environment, your lifestyle, emotional stress, all of that has an influence on your skin health, because as you get stressed, even through your environment or emotions, there's a lot more free radicals that get generated through oxidative stress. And these free radicals can then age your skin and make it more brittle. So most of you are probably very familiar with this slide. I always start off with the equation of lowering your toxins and increasing your nourishment, because when you have deficiencies in nutrition, you can also have weaker cells, right? And if you have weaker cells, it cannot defend itself. It can, be susceptible to disease. And so having the good nutrition is very important. So welcome, FIFA and Evelyn. Nice to see you. As I said, if you want to have any questions answered, you can put that in the chat box. So I was just starting off talking about how your skin is very connected to your gut health. And some of the factors that affect your skin, as I said earlier, is oxidative stress. So it's a process of all of our cells, metabolic waste will happen as you regenerate. There's always waste matter. It could come from sun exposure. It could just come from a highly processed diet. So that's affecting how your skin is regenerating. Alcohol and smoking is also going to impact the vibrancy and elasticity of your skin. And any type of inflammation will be a negative impact. So if you have processed foods, sugar especially, and sugar, we call it glycation. So basically the collagen on your skin can be affected by sugar. The sugar will then attach to some collagen molecules and make it more brittle. So if you have a lot of sugar, you can lose some of the elasticity in your skin. Also, any kind of dryness makes the skin cells very poorly hydrated. They become smaller. So then, the skin will not be as plump. It will not be as nourished. So stay hydrated. Elizabeth said earlier, you use a humidifier, which is great. I just wanted to hesitate about that because we don't really get a lot of sun right now. So that's not a really big concern. But still, lots of people will say, try to put some mild SPF cream to mildly block off some of the UV rays. So this webinar is not about topical skincare, because I'm not an expert at that, like the types of creams or the treatments and the skin toners and all that. It's really about nutrition and supplements and what you can do to nourish your skin from the inside out. Some toxins would affect your skin, like smoke, radiation, even from your screens. emotional stress, lack of sleep, poor circulation. So if you don't exercise enough, you can always massage your skin, like do the lymphatic massage. That can increase the circulation. Do some, face yoga to add some more toning into your muscles. And then, of course, candida from too much sugar or even medication that, off balances your gut bacteria can then affect your skin. Sometimes there's barriers to getting enough nutrition absorbed. Number one is that the food intake may not be as high in nutrients. So if, let's say you're not eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, you're not getting enough antioxidants. That could be one reason. And then the other reason could be just that the food is laced with chemicals like glyphosate and herbicides, pesticides that can affect your gut bacteria and absorption. So that's another reason why sometimes we're not getting enough nourishment to the skin. Inflammation in the gut can affect your skin. And leaky gut, which is basically the membrane of the gut being more porous, and it's supposed to be tight, but if it's a little bit loose because of inflammation and poor gut bacteria, then the bigger protein that's not supposed to get through that membrane gets to the bloodstream, and that could cross over and impact your skin as well. And a lot of Americans, like we have this chart here, you can go to the website to look at it. It's from National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements, and look at the high rate of deficiencies in people. For like vitamin D, 94% are below average, vitamin E, 89%, and these are fat-based vitamins, and it's very crucial to the skin. So even magnesium and all of this, it's much lower than before because of our diet, because of the absorption or lack of absorption. And what creates gut permeability? Well, lots of medication, they have that impact on the gut microbiome. And I listed just a few common ones here, like the anti-inflammatories, the pill, like pain controllers or pain moderators, antibiotics, opioids. Sorry, I put antibiotics twice. I'll remove that. Birth control pills. And a lot of these also create deficiencies. So I put this chart out. I actually posted it on Facebook and Instagram. And it's based on a website that you can go check. It's called mitavin.com. So if you're on medication, you can type in the name of the medication that you're on, and it'll generate a list of potential deficiencies that are backed by studies. And some of them are not listed because they haven't done a study on it, but you can submit that and they'll look into it. They'll try to, maybe add it to the database. But for example, 35 million Americans who take statins would need coenzyme Q10. So this is very important. Anybody that I see who's on statins, I would recommend that they supplement on CoQ10. This is like an antioxidant that exists in organ meats. It exists in meats in general, and it's good for your heart. So there is a risk of heart health issues for people who are on statins that don't have enough CoQ10. The other one is, for example, metformin. This is a very common drug for diabetes, and it's been known that it decreases the absorption of B12 and folic acid. So there's a lot of drug-related nutrient deficiencies, and that could potentially affect your skin. Just off the bat, if you look at here, there's a lot of B vitamins that are affected, and B vitamins depend a lot on your gut microbiome. Your gut bacteria actually makes some of the B vitamins, and a lot of it gets urinated out. So it's like water soluble. And B6 especially is very important for skin regeneration. So especially somebody who has eczema, I would supplement with B6, zinc, and magnesium. Those are really the important to help with skin defense. And as you see here too, birth control pills, very common in young women, younger and younger nowadays, and the Bs are also a potential deficiency. And I often do see women who are on birth control pills who have, some kind of skin issue, as well as mood issues potentially associated with their gut, and a higher risk of urinary tract infection and yeast infections. That's very common. And that has to do with the whole gut microbiome being disrupted. So that's something to consider. So going into nutrition for your skin, the number one antioxidant that I love is called astaxanthin. So this one is even more powerful than vitamin C, and it is oil-based. You'll see it as a pinkish, orangish color, and it's what makes wild salmon really deep red. Well, normally if you get farmed salmon, there's not as much of that antioxidant because the farmed salmon, they don't feed the fish like the coral leaves and all of these seaweed. So they don't get that type of deep red color. They'll have maybe a grayish color, and they'll have food that actually turns their flesh a little bit light pink. But in general, a lot of the farmed salmon is a very light color. So you want to, if you have a chance to get wild salmon, I know they sell it here mostly frozen. You pay a little bit more, but it's a lot more nutritious. And there's also companies that sell astaxanthin in the gel caps. So that's a really good way to, protect your skin using an antioxidant. And then there's a lot of other antioxidants that help too. So different vitamins that I'll talk about later. But definitely lycopene is one that exists in tomatoes. It's another antioxidant. Silicon is very good for hair and nails and for the strength of the skin. Zinc is also something that can help with acne especially. And B complex is good to help with creating collagen and basically also for the liver to detox. And then there's a class of fats called ceramides. So I'm not sure if anybody here are familiar with ceramides. They actually put it into serums to apply topically, but it helps with the skin barrier. And it is a fat molecule. It exists in dairy products and eggs. Wheat germ especially has a high amount of ceramides. Brown rice, so go for the whole grains. And spinach, sweet potatoes, and soybeans have some ceramides in there. And so you want to look for foods that are high in omega-3, so like the fatty fish that I talked about, because that helps with the skin barrier. And you also want to maybe supplement with some collagen, or if you don't want to supplement, you can use bone broth. So again, you can see the correlation of how all of this is good for your gut as well. So in the bone broth, there's already collagen, there's already minerals, and it also has hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is a type of carbohydrate. It's not really an acid. It's a long chain carbohydrate. And you can think of it as like a little balloon. It's very small, but it can hold 1,000 times its weight in water. So it can grow into like this big balloon of water. And so it's often used as a moisturizer, as a barrier. If somebody needs protection on their skin, like if you have an open wound, you can buy a type of lotion that has hyaluronic acid, and it'll become like this barrier. And because it's not oil-based, it's like a water-based type of like gooey liquid. A lot of people can take it without getting clogged pores. So even people with rashy skin or psoriasis or very delicate, tender skin, they can still apply hyaluronic acid to protect their skin topically. So for adult acne, so I just wanted to mention, when I was in my early 40s, before I really, cleaned out my diet and did more of this type of work, I used to get pimples all the time, especially around my period. And I used to joke around and say, like, man, I'm still going through puberty. What's going on? Like, is this ever going to stop? And I had this awful eczema on my hands, like especially, it's a common place that's very weak because I used to put cortisone cream. So that skin membrane is much thinner, so it's more vulnerable. But every winter it'll open up and I'll get like things oozing out and itchy, and it was just horrible, to the point where I wanted to just wear gloves in the office because I was so embarrassed, when you have to shake hands with someone, like, or for someone to see my hands. And I later on, of course, cleaned out my diet, but I learned about how hormones can affect your skin. And of course, the fluctuation of hormones is impactful on your liver. So I did some detoxing in the liver, and I cut out carbs and sugar for a while. And that really helped. And then I took this oil called black seed oil, and that completely got rid of my eczema. So the black seed oil itself, I guess what it did was it really lowered any kind of either yeast or parasites or anything that might irritate the skin from underneath. And I never got that back. So it was like a really amazing cure. Like it never, and anytime I felt a little bit of itch on it, I would take the black seed oil. And so there's definitely deficiencies. Back then, I didn't really pay attention to what I was eating. So I would often get cracks at the edge of my lips. That's another indicator of deficiencies, especially B complex. So for adult acne, you could look into detoxing, lowering your sugar, supporting your liver with bitter greens, eating more cruciferous vegetables. But there's also a consideration with adding some essential fatty acids. So that's EFA, and that comes from the omegas. You can also supplement with zinc and selenium, vitamin A, vitamin E. Those are all really good antioxidants, and it's good for the skin membrane. B6, I had mentioned earlier. Pantothenic acid is another B vitamin, so you can use that. Just get a B complex in general. It covers all of the B vitamins. And then look into any kind of dysbiosis, which means an imbalance of gut bacteria. That's basically what it means, like an overgrowth of maybe some yeast or fungus. And SIBO. So people who have SIBO, which is a small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, basically the bacteria should be in your large intestine, but however, somehow it got into the small intestine, and then it's becoming an aggravation in your small intestines. That could also cause acne and breakouts.
Cindy?
Yeah.
The black seed oil, are you putting it on topically or you're taking it inside orally?
You could take, no, I took it inside. I took a spoon in the morning and a spoon in the evening. And it was just a few days and already I noticed an improvement.
And is that safe for children?
Yeah, it's safe for children. It comes from the cumin seed. Maybe for a young child, it would be less. So maybe half a teaspoon to start. It does have a really strong taste. So some people actually mix it with coffee to hide the taste because it has a bit of that bitterness and a bit of a sting to it, like it's a burn. So yeah, you could, I don't know if your son will enjoy that, but hold the nose and try it. Also for hair and scalp, there also have associations to deficiencies. Dry hair, dandruff, that's often a lack of the healthy fats. So again, the omegas, you can eat coconut oil, you can maybe have more avocados, have walnuts to get some of that fat. And zinc is also important because it's still part of the skin membrane that you want to nourish. And people who are having thinner hair, you can look into iron supplementation. Like look at whether you have any iron deficiencies or even protein deficiency. For dull hair, look into maybe you're low in iron or protein. Hair depigmentation, changes of colors. That could be a combination of B vitamins like biotin, B12, and some minerals. Just the hair texture changing can also be related to vitamin C. Vitamin C is also very important in making collagen. So, and that if you have a vitamin C deficiency, you could also experience fragile skin and also scalp. And premature gray hair, it could be a lack of copper, B12. So those are just some kind of, indicators that you can add as a supplement to see if that can help. But really, I mean, in a holistic way, you would have to look at your diet in general if you don't want to supplement in all of this. So you want to make sure it's well balanced with very low sugar and not with a lot of fried oils. Make sure that the oil proportion is even between omega-6 and omega-3. So I'll talk a little bit about the proportion of oils because that's pretty important too. Here's the skin of a normal person. There's things that attack your skin. We call it, the attack and the defense. You want the membrane to be strong. And the membrane has multiple layers. I mean, there's even the basal layer, which are all basically stem cells at a very low level. But it's fed by the blood vessels. So you really want it to feed up and make sure that the skin membrane is strong. And on the skin membrane, there's also a microbiome itself. There's bacteria. And so if you were to take a sample of your skin here versus a sample of your skin on your chin, you're going to notice different groups of bacteria. So it's all dependent on your skin health. And so it's just important to remember that not to put anything too harsh, like even like the sanitizers and things like that, because that could kill off a lot of the healthy bacteria on your skin. So especially someone who has open cuts already or rashy skin, you really don't want to disturb the microbiome. Instead, you may want to look for creams that have probiotics for the skin, and they have it now. They have more and more probiotics in lots of things, not just supplements, but also on topical creams and even in shampoos. I have seen that in conditioners, probiotics for your hair and your scalp. So there is a recognition that the bacteria there is very important. And collagen is something that if you were a vegetarian, I would recommend maybe taking some protein powder, some collagen. But the thing to remember is that normally, if you take in protein or even the collagen, the body will then break it down into the amino acids, into proline, glycine, hydroxyproline, and then it will reassemble it back. So whether you're taking collagen or protein, you still have to break it down in the body and then reassemble it. So the reassembling part will require vitamin C and iron. So make sure that you have enough of that, because if you don't, then even if you take collagen, that's not going to be converted back into the collagen for your skin. And collagen, usually there's 3 types: type 1, type 2, type 3. You'll see it on the supplement bottle that you buy. So just like this, for example, hydrolyzed type 1 and 3. So type 1 is really good for your skin. So if you really care about just the skin health, you would go for type 1. And oftentimes they take it from the bones of like the cow. Usually you should go for grass-fed, so there's less toxins. But the best kind is from fish. So type 1 collagen from fish is also really good. And they're smaller in size, so it's really, easy to get through into the skin. Type 2 is usually from chicken, and it's good for the cartilage, in the body. So it's a little bit bigger. And then type 3 is more for muscle and then connective tissues and all that. But if it's focused on skin health, then type 1 is the one that you would want. There's also hyaluronic acid. And a lot of times when you get collagen, you'll see that there's hyaluronic acid in there, like combined. And basically, in the old days, they used to take it from the comb of the rooster. So, the rooster, they have that red comb-like thing on their head. And so, yeah, they used to use that to extract the hyaluronic acid. That's the balloon that I was talking about, where you can, put in a lot of water and it holds water. But today, there's a lot more plant-based hyaluronic acid, and they ferment it using wheat or different plants. And they have even varying molecule sizes. So you can supplement on those as well if you have very brittle skin and you need more moisture to your skin. And they have various types of sizes. So really, really small sizes that can penetrate more into the skin, especially in creams. You can see that too, hyaluronic acid in various sizes. And the smaller they are, the more expensive the cream is usually, because they need to take the special processing of technology to make it into a smaller size. But hyaluronic acid is also good for your eyes, for any connective tissues, and helps with reducing fine lines and wrinkles. Because you can imagine that the water molecule, like that it retains, like that balloon that I was telling you, could plump up the fine lines and the wrinkles. So that's why you would see hyaluronic acid used a lot in creams, but also as supplement form. And the average person after the age of 30 will lose about 1% of hyaluronic acid every year. So in 10 years, it's about 10%. So it's good to, supplement with that, but that's also in bone broth. It is derived from, like anytime you eat like the skin, or, a lot of times nowadays, I've actually seen more and more people use chicken feet, for the collagen. And then there's also hyaluronic acid in there. And of course, pay attention to the antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin D, especially in the winter. If you're low in vitamin D, that could also cause some issues for skin health because of the immune response. Vitamin D is very crucial in the immune system, so that might be something you want to, increase more of. Vitamin E, selenium, astaxanthin, which I mentioned earlier. Selenium can be found in Brazil nuts. It's also very high in organ meats. Quercetin, you can find that in apples. You can supplement with quercetin as well. But a lot of fruits have quercetin, like the bright reds. The CoQ10, as I had said earlier, and magnesium. That's really important for skin health. So earlier I was talking about omegas, and basically before the Industrial Revolution, a lot of the oils were not as refined. So people didn't have access to so many types of processed oils like corn oil, soy oil, safflower, canola. I mean, can you imagine living without oils? Like back in the day, they would just get it from butter, right? From creams from the cow. They may get it from nuts and seeds. They'll get it from the meats. They'll get it from plants because plants have a lot of oils. But that's it. They won't be cooking and layering all and frying foods with all of these oils. I mean, so today we have a really big imbalance. All of these oils that I talked about, they're all considered omega-6 oils. And in the old days, before the industrializations, the proportion of omega-6 to omega-3 was about 3-to-1. And today we're looking at 20 to 30-to-1. So 30 times more omega-6 than omega-3, which is highly inflammatory. So most people, like if I look at the teenagers that my son hangs around with, they don't get a lot of omega-3s. They don't eat fish. Most of them don't like fish. They don't even eat a lot of nuts or seeds. And they eat a lot of like processed foods when they go out to buy pizza and fried chicken and poutine. And it's all made with these types of oils, right? Like they have a ton of those oils in there. So we need to look at how to increase the omega-3 and then lower the omega-6 just to balance that out, to have less inflammation, on our skin and in the rest of the body. So cruciferous veggies, that's always very important for your liver and for the blood health because it cleans your blood, and it has magnesium, so that could help with muscle relaxation. And for the skin, it's also very important. Magnesium is involved in hundreds of different reactions, biochemical reactions in the body. It helps with muscle, with joints. So it's found in all the plants because it's from the earth. So any plants will have some level of magnesium in there. And so, yeah, I would like to focus a little bit on your absorption. So based on all of this, there's tons of food, there's lots of supplements. But of course, if you have trouble absorbing it, that could hinder, your skin health as well. And the first thing I always think about when it comes to absorption is if the person has enough stomach acid. If they don't have enough stomach acid, they won't be able to absorb B12. They won't be able to break down iron, for example, and these minerals. So the other thing is digestive enzymes. So make sure that you have enough enzymes to break down the food so that you can digest and then absorb it. The gallbladder, if you have a very stagnant gallbladder, you can have constipation, you can have trouble processing the fats because the gallbladder produces bile, and bile is what breaks down these flat globules. So if you don't have enough bile, then you're not absorbing the fat soluble vitamins, which is very crucial for your skin. And of course, the health of the mucosal lining is important. And earlier when I talked about bone broth, like collagen, hyaluronic acid, those are really great for your gut lining. And bowel movements, make sure they're regular. And of course, the microbiome is really, really important. And the microbiome, it does a lot. And I know most of you already know about this because I talk about it all the time, but it does live on our skin as well, on our eyeballs, in our sinus cavities, in our mouth. So that's an area where you can also supplement. If you want to add more cultured foods, eat sauerkraut, drink kefir, have some, plain yogurt, that could help with boosting your gut bacteria. And then, of course, making sure that you're not imbalancing it with chemicals. So if you're still having a tap water every day, making sure that maybe you can get some filtered water in to remove the chlorine and heavy metals. So all of this does affect the microbiome. And that's something that, as we check off everything and making sure you're nourished, you can also look at how you reduce toxins that are coming into your body and getting onto your skin. Food additives can also be a cause. A lot of the teenagers eat this every day without even knowing it. A high fructose corn syrup, modified oils like hydrogenated oils that can really impact the skin. And I can tell, when I talk to someone, when they have really thick, grayish looking skin, that it doesn't have that elasticity, it doesn't have that kind of vibrant color, that there's the stagnation in the liver. So you can really tell. And sometimes, there's a thing called face mapping, where you can see if there's acne on parts of your face or inflammation or discolor on parts of the face, and you can trace it back to the meridians that are attached to that part of the face. And you could trace it back to your gut, your liver, your gallbladder. So sometimes you can tell, like if a person had too much of these fried oils or modified fats, that is hindering their liver, and they're not getting that kind of vibrant color into their skin. So yes, I talked about sugar. It's really important to lower sweeteners, even artificial sweeteners, because again, it will disrupt your gut bacteria, and it also reduces the minerals in your body. So it actually causes some deficiency over time. Just like how it erodes your teeth, it could erode the inside as well because of the acidity. So for your bones, it could leach out minerals. So, just pay attention to the amount of sugar that's being consumed. I talked about leaky gut. I just wanted to share this visual. So there are junctions, and it's really a one-cell membrane. So it's like just one cell that protects your gut. And on top of that, there's a layer of bacteria. And that bacteria, if it's not well balanced, well, that could cause, inflammation. And then the gut lining can start to become more permeable. So if that happens, you can get some food intolerances. You can develop some autoimmune issues because things that are absorbed into the body gets attacked. So now it becomes like an autoimmune response. There's also this phenomenon called leaky brain that can happen because the hormone that's involved, or the protein that's involved with this permeability, it's called zonulin, that can also get through the blood system into your blood-brain barrier and then cause that to open. And then when that happens, people can have like brain fog and get, mood issues. So it does have a domino effect. So I published 2 ebooks, and if you want to learn more, I do have one called Understanding the Basics of Gut Health, and it is on sale for $14.99. And I do have another one called Understanding Leaky Gut, and in this one, there's a protocol and a 3-day meal plan that you can follow if you really suspect that you may have some gut issues. And again, for a bonus, I'm adding in a 7-day meal plan in there. So if you want to read that, let me know. I can send that to you. And of course, there's recipes in there for cultured foods, bone broth, and all of the stuff that I talked about. So just going back to autoimmune conditions. So there's more and more young people now that I've been seeing that have these types of issues like lupus, Crohn's, celiac, and skin issues, eczema, psoriasis. And I think that a lot of it could be helped with the microbiome being more balanced. They've done studies where they actually extracted the fecal matter from a healthy person, and they took the bacteria of that fecal matter and they injected it into someone with autism. And that person really radically changed over a course of 3 months. So that's called a fecal matter transplant. So a lot of these can be, reversed or at least managed better through a healthier microbiome. The gut has, I guess today, a lot more issues than before. And so to combat that, we're having more information to share to say, how do you defend yourself? So one of them is, of course, with the collagen, with the bone broth. But in there, there's a protein called L-glutamine that's also very important with healing. So anytime somebody has gone through surgery, I always would recommend bone broth, liver, you know, some kind of organ meat, and L-glutamine as a supplement, because L-glutamine helps with the healing process. And probiotics, colostrum, this is what for people who have really, really sensitive gut. The colostrum is like the mother's milk, like the initial part, and the proteins are very, very easy to absorb, and it is not going to trigger any response. So some people, unfortunately, they would have to drink colostrum to heal their gut. And well, I did mention digestive enzymes. So those are things that can help you for digestion. Now, on the antimicrobial side, you know, if you do have like a lot of itchiness and you're suspecting maybe you have an overgrowth of some kind of candida, you could try some antimicrobial teas. There's teas like oregano tea, clove tea, that are antiparasitical. But then you can also use some of these oils, like black seed oil that I mentioned, grapeseed oil, pomegranate seed oil is really good as well for wrinkles, for fine lines, because it's really high in antioxidants. And then follow an anti-candida diet. So basically, cut out sugar, carbs, and add more herbs that are going to kill off the candida. So the herbs that I mentioned earlier, like oregano, and you'll see that often in the anti-candida diets. And of course, hydration, drink lots of water, make sure the water is mineralized. So if you're drinking a lot of processed water, you can add some tea leaves in it, like green tea leaves. You can add fruits. You can even get this one. It's one of my favorites called detox tea to help with the liver, you know, to process some of the I guess, the fats, the more unhealthy fats. It could generate more bile. Like a lot of the bitter greens helps you with increasing bile production. So that would be good for your liver and gallbladder. And as a holistic approach, we always look at different parts of the lifestyle. So your emotions can create more oxidative stress. Look at how you're sleeping. If you're not sleeping enough, again, you're not regenerating the skin so fast enough. So that could be an indicator to maybe get more sleep. Take some magnesium to help you sleep, or maybe if you don't have enough melatonin, like look at some hormone balancing foods, get some fresh air. So all of these things, deep breathing, that could be a good way to, you know, help with stress management and like slow down the aging process. So for personalized nutrition, I had talked about nutrigenomics. This is basically a report that gives you a good idea of how your body could metabolize the nutrients, and it's based on 70 genes. So I could show you a quick example. Oh, by the way, at the end of this, I want to give you all a healthy gut quiz. You can check off these different things and then give yourself an assessment of whether your gut, maybe there's some candida in there. So basically, I'll just show you very quickly. This is how it looks like. This is just my gift to you at the end of the call. So you can do this at home. You basically look at the different symptoms. Okay, I'll just increase it. You could check off, like if you're constipated. Let's say you have a lot of mood swings. So this is something you can do for fun. You have yeast infections, let's say. So at the end of all this, look at how you score. So if you have 0 to 5, it's kind of normal, it's acceptable. 6 to 10, that you could be, maybe there's some signs of dysbiosis and that you're on the verge. And then 11 and over is basically a strong indicator that you have candida. It could be due to antibiotics, it could be due to medication, it could be due to so many things, but something should be done at this point if you are at 11 or higher. So actually, I'm going to drop it into the chat box right now. Let me know if you can download it, okay? Let me just drag it out. Dysbiosis quiz. Do you guys see it? So you should be able to see it. It's a Word document. Dysbiosis candidiasis quiz. So this is a helpful little checkpoint for you to see, you know, where you're at in terms of candida overgrowth, or because candida exists in everyone. You know, it's normal to have some. It's just when it becomes overgrown that you'll start to see symptoms. You can get itchy skin, rashes, headaches. You can get more yeast infections, things like that. So if it's a problem, you'll be able to see that on the chart, is how severe it is. And also, I wanted to share with you just a sample of the genomic report in case you're interested. Here it is. So this is how it looks like. It goes through 70 of your genes after you submit your saliva on a swab. And look at all the breakdown of B vitamins, whether you're at risk for, if you have a gene that has a variant, then usually you're at elevated risk for having like a deficiency of that. So it will tell you to make sure that you consume more of the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, because the RDA is really, when you think of it, it's basically a number that can prevent you from getting the disease associated with it. So for example, 60 milligrams of vitamin C would be enough to prevent you from getting scurvy. But that's an RDA, that's just minimal. How do you optimize your health? You can take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, but it's not going to be recommended. So the problem is, a lot of times because of stress, stress can deplete your minerals and vitamins. Your RDA is not enough for you to keep your health, strong, because of all of this chemicals, our environment, our stress factors. So the RDA is not it's basically like saying, do you want to pass your class with a 60 or with 100? So you want to pass with 100, then you got to boost it a little more. You cannot just live on the minimal, nutrient recommendation. So it does a good job of, talking about and explaining the different genes and how it's involved. And if you have, let's say, a missing gene for methylation, for example, you can have trouble detoxing certain things. Or if you have a lower processing for caffeine, for example, then don't take more than 2 cups a day. Otherwise, there's a risk of getting hypertension and, other things that's associated with tension. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then on top of that, they also have a skin report, which is an add-on to the generic health report. And this is what it talks about. It talks about like how you process the antioxidants, the skin elasticity, the glycation, which is how the sugar molecules get attached to collagen. So it could talk about like, if your skin needs more of certain nutrients because of the elasticity part. I mean, for me, like I can tell visually, but there's sometimes it's good to know for sure. You can add it into your diet. I'm only saying that because my husband's skin is very different from mine. His skin is very like elastic and mine is not as elastic, but it's good to know to what degree do I need to supplement or does he need to prevent the loss of elasticity as we age. So that's the skin sample report. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, FIFA. Yeah, and if you need any consultation about gut health in general, or if you're interested in the ebook, let me know. I didn't create the link yet, but I'm planning to do it. So you get the bonuses as everyone here who's attended the webinar. And if you have any questions about your skin health, feel free to reach out to me. We could do a consultation, or we could just do a Q&A if you just want to talk. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you guys for being here. It was so fun. I really enjoyed sharing and seeing all your beautiful faces. It's so nice to be able to see you on this Friday, crazy, cold winter day. So I'm so happy about that.
Thank you so much. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks,
Thank
Cindy.
you.
Nice
Thanks,
seeing you all.
Dora.
Thanks.
Nice to see
Everybody.
you.